gentlemen, the moment of truth is now upon us. We are going headlong into the future. Tuesday, November 3rd, 0 hour. 0 days until the most historic election in world history. A referendum between globalism and Americanism. Here is Joe Biden's chief advisor on PBS admitting what we already knew. Their strategy was to hide this individual in the basement until he could get into office and they could replace him with Kamala Harris. Here it is.
And we're confident in our strategy. I remember not a couple weeks or maybe months ago when folks suggested that we should, quote unquote, get out of the basement. Our strategy has worked, Judy. We are talking directly to the American people, and we look forward to continuing to do that through tomorrow.
Well, we know at some of these President Trump's rallies, thousands are showing up in terms of numbers, and that's why I asked you that question. Simone Sanders.
Now, Tucker Carlson is always powerful, but he laid it out so beautifully, so perfectly last night. When we come back, I'm going to play 5 minutes of it, where he explains that this is a referendum between nationalism and populism and our disgusting ruling class that doesn't even believe America should exist. See, to carry out these evil things, the destruction of America, to parlay our power and our money and our ingenuity into building world government while demoralizing us, while dumbing us down, while breaking up our families to make sure that we would fall, you have to really hate people you're doing that to. And because we stood down, because we were naive, because we slept on our laurels, the most evil, corrupt elites the planet has ever seen got control of this nation. They're the same ones that put Mao Zedong in power in 1949, and David Rockefeller wrote 2 op-eds in the New York Times bragging about it. And we really are living in Rockefeller's world. His foundation is behind Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. John D. Rockefeller the first, right down to David. And this is a revolution we're involved in against them and their minions, like Hillary Clinton. Remember, they had 250,000 of these already printed up, already on newsstands the day of the election. Madam President already in the airports that morning when she lost. And they are so butthurt that they're not invincible and godlike. So now they've engaged even bigger fraud to try to fix the system. And if they're able to steal it from Trump, it'll blow up in their face even bigger. They've got a plan A and they've got a plan B. But these minions of the globalists have been raping this country since 1993 when they accelerated the sellout to communist China. And so that's what this election is all about. So if you want to fight these people, they are going to pull some major shenanigans. We know exactly what they're up to. I pay more attention to their political operations than even high-level Democrats do, because they're all a bunch of lazy, meth head, devil worshiper, pedophile trash. They all work the minimum amount. But they have all the money and all the power because their father's the devil, and he's the god of this world for a short time. The devil sends the beast with wrath because he knows the time is short. And I've studied every facet of what they're going to do, and we know exactly what they're going to do. We know exactly what they're going to pull and exactly how they're going to do it. The good news is I've been watching the White House very closely. They've gotten dialed into what's happening that they don't even really need me anymore. They used to need this show and need you to tell them. Now they're so dialed in and know how things work that if Trump gets back in and can make it over these hurdles, he is going to destroy the globalist. Absolutely destroy them. And that's why they're so incredibly dangerous right now. So I'm going to walk through the scenarios that we face, plan A, plan B, and plan C of these dirtbags, and why they're going to pull it, because they've never gotten in trouble. And so it's like letting somebody rob, rape, and murder, which is what they're doing, and they get a get-out-of-jail-free card, and if they're a psychotic person, they're going to keep doing it. But see, when they don't get in trouble, they always escalate. And if they make the move and actually try to bite this off, there's no way they can chew it. We're talking about a midget trying to eat an elephant in one bite. So the sick part of me hopes they actually try it. Election 2020. More people voted by last week than voted in the last general election. Massive voting across the country. The deep state is in absolute, total panic mode, and there is clear, rock-hard evidence of systemic election fraud and voter fraud in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in Iowa, in Georgia, in North Carolina, in Florida. It's pouring in confirmation, massive criminal activity. We're covering it all at the bottom of the hour. Let me tell you who we've got today. Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit, Roger Stone, former chief campaign advisor to President Trump, political advisor, Hotep Jesus, David Icke, David Knight, Paul Joseph Watson. That's just in the next 3 hours and 55 minutes of my transmission. Then I'm going to be back throughout the entire day with Leanne McAdoo and with Deanna Lorraine and with Owen Schroyer and with Harrison Smith and with Rob Dew and with all the rest of our amazing crew. And we've got some big guests coming up tonight and surprise guests and a lot of surprise stuff going on. You know, I don't tell you big stuff's coming if it isn't coming. Obviously, big stuff's coming. We're now here. The clash of civilizations, tyranny and the globalist system versus America. The world that John D. Rockefeller, with the remnants of the British Empire, with Cecil Rhodes built, and his grandson, David Rockefeller. David just died a few years ago. And they built the UN. They put Mao in charge. They ran the Communist Party in Russia. They financed Hitler. This is all in Pulitzer Prize winning books. They don't even hide this stuff. They had congressional hearings about it in the 70s in the Church Committee. Anthony Sutton got all the secret government documents out of the Carnegie and Ford and Rockefeller Foundation that Congress had access to with classification. That's how I know their plan. We aren't one of those other shows that talks about Republican or Democrat and all these little ideologies that are just side issues to the world government, New World Order system and what its plan is for you and your family, and it ain't good. You see that with the Rockefeller Foundation lockstep that totally predicts 10 years ago what we're currently under with the global martial law. And for TV viewers, let's put the photo up of one town in Pennsylvania alone. Trump's done more than 20 rallies in Pennsylvania. And that's just a close shot. There is video that Tucker Carlson shows, and he backs out of it, and the crowd goes on and on and on, over 100,000 people, and reportedly 50,000 couldn't get in, and the media spun it and made fun of it and said, oh, some people couldn't get in and they were there till 1 in the morning and were freezing. Oh, because they were celebrating coming together and valuing each other and valuing America and knowing we've been under economic war by the globalists on purpose. And they've shipped the drugs in, and they're now teaching us to tell us our little boys or girls and chop their testicles off. If space aliens landed and asked for that, we'd say attack them. But they sell it as liberal and trendy, and if you don't agree with it, we'll attack you. It's totally sick. So I want to play this Tucker Carlson clip. When we come back with David Knight in studio, we've got the biggest news yet. We have their scenarios, A, B, and C. It's now been announced. It's on Infowars.com. We knew it was coming out of Axios. Biden is going to declare himself the winner tonight. Mainstream media is going to agree. That's plan A. And then if Trump disagrees, he'll be silenced by big tech, the internet, and TV saying he's wrong. They're going to really try this. That's their main plan. If it's close, they're going to declare victory for Biden. If it's so huge for Trump, which the evidence shows it'll be, they're going to hold it up and then cause civil unrest and a breakdown. Then they've got a plan C as well. We're going to talk about it all. But first, Tucker Carlson lays it out perfectly about which side are you on. You finally got somebody that proved they're on your side, believes in America, is sick of selling us out for globalism. Who are you going to stand with? Here's Tucker Carlson.
I want to begin this show with a single image. Now, the image doesn't tell you who's going to win or lose tomorrow. Instead, it's a metaphor for the election itself and for the moment that we're living in and will continue to live in. The picture is from a town called Butler, Pennsylvania. It's 35 miles north of Pittsburgh. The president held a rally there over the weekend. Butler's like a lot of places you'll find in this country once you head inland from the coasts. It's a former industrial town. They made Pullman rail cars there for many years. But it's been losing population for decades. There's still a lot of nice people in Butler. For 60 grand, you can buy a decent house there. It's a place you might be happy in. But our professional class is not impressed by Butler. They don't consider Butler, Pennsylvania, or places like it, the future. To them, places like Butler are embarrassing relics of a past best forgotten. The men of Butler may have built this country, and they did, but they mean nothing to our leaders now. You can be certain of that because when large numbers of people in Butler started killing themselves with narcotics, No one in Washington or New York or Los Angeles said a word about it. And so it continued. There have now been so many opioid deaths in Butler that a few years ago, residents built an overdose memorial in the middle of town. MSNBC didn't cover that. So given all of that, it was interesting how the people around Butler feel about Donald Trump. Here are the pictures of the president's rally there on Saturday night. Tens of thousands of people came. So many people that the crowd obscured the horizon. It looked like a visit from the Pope. When was the last time a political speech drew that many people? Well, the media didn't ask. Instead, they attacked the rally as a super spreader event. Trump endangers thousands in Pennsylvania. Okay, we'll leave the epidemiology to CNN. But the question still hung in the air. Why did all those people come? Why? They must have known that Donald Trump is the most evil man who's ever lived. They've heard that every day for 5 years. They know that people who support Donald Trump are also evil. They're bigots, they're morons, they're racist cult members. They know that Americans have been fired from their jobs for supporting Donald Trump. Not to mention kicked off social media, belittled by their kids' teachers, shunned by decent society. Only losers and freaks support Donald Trump. People in Butler knew all of that. But on Saturday, they went to the Donald Trump rally anyway. Why exactly did they do that? We should be pondering that question deeply as we watch tomorrow's returns and as we live through the aftermath of them. Millions of Americans sincerely love Donald Trump. They love him in spite of everything they've heard. They love him often in spite of himself. They're not deluded. They know exactly who Trump is. They love him anyway. They love Donald Trump because no one else loves them. The country they built, the country their ancestors fought for over hundreds of years, has left them to die in their unfashionable little towns, mocked and despised by the sneering half-wits with finance degrees but no actual skills who seem to run everything all of a sudden. Whatever Donald Trump's faults, he is better than the rest of the people in charge. At least he doesn't hate them for their weakness. Donald Trump, in other words, is and has always been a living indictment of the people who run this country. That was true 4 years ago when Trump came out of nowhere to win the presidency, and it's every bit as true right now. Maybe even more true than it's ever been. And it will remain true, regardless of whether Donald Trump wins re-election. Trump rose because they failed. It's as simple as that. If the people in charge had done a halfway decent job with the country they inherited, if they'd cared about anything other than themselves, even for just a moment, Donald Trump would still be hosting Celebrity Apprentice. But they didn't. Instead, they were incompetent and narcissistic and cruel and relentlessly dishonest. They wrecked what they didn't build. They lied about it. They hurt anyone who told the truth about what they were doing. That's true. We watched. America is still a great country, the best in the world, but our ruling class is disgusting. A vote for Trump is a vote against them. That's what's going on in that picture. That's what's going on in this country.
Well, what you just saw is as close to perfection with truth as it gets. That is veritas in the very archetype. And that's exactly true. And the system is scared because they're these big globalists. They're the masters of the universe. And they're being defeated. And they can't stand it. You just got to understand the chip on the shoulder that the big tech people and the Chi-Coms and the Rothschilds have against you and your family. They literally hate you. Research them. They want to hurt you. And the minute you realize that, their power is over. Don't submit to anything they say or do.